Hi there, Craig here. Well, this is about head and lacing. There's been some videos on some fellow homebrewing channels lately about this topic, and I thought I would chime in on it. I like a nice head on my beer, and I don't like when the beer doesn't have any. But some styles of beer, you know, that's what they're supposed to be like. I certainly do not like when most of my glass is full of head and a little bit at the bottom has got beer in it. To me, it's a waste. You can't drink that until the head disappears or basically evaporates. And then what's left is usually a pretty flat beer. So I'm really careful the way I pour my beers. And now when I keg, which I've got a keg sitting right down there with some Cooper's Lager in it, of course I get a great head out of that, and careful how I position the glass, so forth. The other thing too is that somebody said that you can't get good head or lace out of a Cooper's home brew. Well, I'm here to tell you folks that that is incorrect, and I'm about to show you this. Now, you're gonna have to take my word for it. I do have a Cooper's lager in this cylinder here. That's what I normally brew, and if you know me, you know that's what I usually use as my go-to beer. So I've got a glass here, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pan down so that you can see that I'm actually doing this. I'm not taking this out of a bottle or a can or a store-bought or anything like that. So here we go, and we're just going to fill this up. I've set my serving pressure down fairly low to avoid getting too much head, because I find that that's a bit of a problem when your beer is not really cold, which mine is not. And it's basically basement temperature, which I can't help because I don't have a spare fridge. Okay, so we're just going to let you take a look at the head on that and see that it's a very fine, you know, kind of a velvety style head. It's not like soda pop at all. And this is a Cooper's Lager. Okay, so there it is, Cooper's Lager out of a can, out of a kit, you know, a homebrew kit. And that head's holding up pretty nice. But you know what? It's a nice 1-inch head on a beer. It's not this great big, I mean, what's the sense in that, you know? It's just perfect. I think that's the way a beer should look when you pour it. I could have poured more, but I'm running out, so I want to save some for later. And you can see that there's lacing happening there. But there's proof positive that you can get good head and lacing from a Cooper's home brew kit. If you don't believe that this is a Cooper's home brew kit, well, I guess I can't help you. But I'm telling you that it is, because that's what I make. This is a lager. They call it a lager, but it's more like a light ale, because the original series Cooper's Lager actually comes with an ale yeast, and it's not fermented at lager temperatures. So I do have a Cooper's European Lager sitting over there that does have a lager yeast that comes with it, and you do have to brew it at lower temperatures. I'm going to be doing that one in another video, so we'll be able to watch that. Let's have a go. I don't even know if I've reviewed a lager before. I did that when I did my Cooper's Home Brew Kit review. When I was out camping, I reviewed a lager, and it looked a lot like this. And it behaved the same as this, and it was out of a bottle. So, you know, it was the same. It had lacing and all that stuff and head on it. So you can get lacing out. If you're not getting it, then you're doing something wrong with the way you wash your glasses, or maybe it's the glass itself. In its class, which is basically a macro brew class, it is on top. I've always, you know, ever since I've been making homebrew from kits, I've always hated going to the beer store and buying a case of beer, because this just tastes better than a standard case of macro brewed beer. I'm not telling you that this is better than all grain, not by any stretch of the imagination, but you can make quality beer. And you know, the way that they make the wort, I read up and studied this, and they actually make it the same way that they make real wort. Now, Coopers, for instance, they make their own beer. And they make the wort for the beer the same way they make the wort for the kits. It's the same procedure exactly. It's just that this batch of wort gets sent to ferment, and this batch of wort gets sent to a dehydrator, which condenses it down so it's like a thick wort. And then you put it in the can. Now, if you're worried about boiling these kits, I've heard people talk about boiling. What are you doing? You're mixing in the thing. You're not boiling it. You're not supposed to boil these kits, and the reason for that is because you'll ruin them. Basically, in a nutshell, they make the wort the same way. They boil it. They add the appropriate hops at the appropriate times. Then they send it off to a centrifuge. Instead of sending it off to a fermenter, they send it to a centrifuge. If you know what that is, it's like a washing machine on the spin cycle, and it dehydrates and it removes about 80% of the water from the wort. So what you're left with is a concentrated wort. The hops are put in at the appropriate times. The hop break occurs. The cold break, mind you, doesn't occur because when it's in the can and it cools down, it's too thick, and the cold break material can't propagate. When you add your water and rehydrate the malt extract, the cold break material comes out, but I'm told that it sinks to the bottom of the fermenter and it doesn't hurt your beer. So if you want, I can send a link to a description of what I just explained in case you're leery of whether I know what I'm talking about. It's straight from the manufacturer of the kit. And I can post, in fact, I will post a link in the more info section where it explains this. You'll have to scroll down a little bit, but you'll find it. Very nice. Holding out pretty good. I don't know what this is on the side here, but to me that looks like lace. I don't know. It wasn't there before I poured the beer. Oh, yeah. Very, very good. In its class, it's an excellent beer. No, it's not a St. Peter's. No, it's not a Young's double chocolate stout. There's pros and cons to everything. All grain, there's pros and cons. The pros are that you can get excellent beer. You can get the beer you want out of a all grain batch. The cons is that you need more equipment. You have to spend some money up front. You have to have access to the ingredients, which some of us don't, without having to pay for shipping. You also have to spend a lot of time at it. Now, my wife and kids, I only have Saturday and Sunday to spend with them, and I'll be damned if I'm going to spend one of those days making beer. It's just not going to happen. Some people have an apartment, and they can't make it. You've got to use one of those big gas propane burners. You can't use those indoors. You have to be outside. Some people don't have, any space outside or anything to do that in. Some people live in an apartment where on the balcony you're not allowed to have a big propane burner out there. It's against the law in some places, and I know it is here. So you're screwed, right? Kudos to the guys that do it and that have a big garage that they can, do it in, and maybe the garage is heated, so when it's winter, but we don't all have the facilities. That's as simple as that. And so there's definitely a place for extract kit brewing. And I've been down this road before. Why am I talking about it again? It's still there, folks. The lacing is still there. In fact, if I leave this glass overnight, it'll still be there tomorrow. It'll just be dry. Okay, so let's stop bashing each other. Let's stop bashing companies and products and things like that. Let's stop mentioning people in videos. I hate that, and I'm getting tired of it. Somebody's, doing a home brew and they're pointing their finger at one of the other home brewers on YouTube, like, ha ha ha. Why do we have to do that? I don't do that. I don't mention people's names. If I do, I'll do it in good faith and with good, saying something good about them. Why do we all have to be picking on each other? That just stop. It just doesn't make sense. It doesn't get anybody anywhere. Why can't we work together? Some people make their beer one way, some people make their beer another way. Who cares? Why are we so concerned about how each other makes their beer? I'm not here to tell you that extract brewing is the only way to do it. Of course not. But I also don't think that you're stupid. So I know that you know that there's other ways of making beer than from a can. I don't have to sit here and tell you that. I give you a little more credit than that. My God. You know that already. You can get excellent results from brewing from a home brew kit. You can. I don't care what anybody says. I get excellent results. Other people get excellent results. These are people who would normally walk into a store and hike a box of macro brewed beer onto their shoulder and walk out. I mean, we just want beer. We don't care whether it's freaking a milkshake. It just has to be a decent tasting beer, that's all. And hey, listen, I'm not criticizing anybody. Guy who he knows what you know who you are, you guy who said you couldn't do that from the Cooper's kit. You can. And let's not, I'm not picking on anybody. I'm just being, I'm just giving out what I get. And that's fine. Everybody I talk to on YouTube is they're all friendly. And if they're not friendly to me, I don't talk. Even if I do a batch of home brew that doesn't taste all that great, I'm not going to sit there and say this sucks. Don't do this. Don't buy this. This sucks. You can't generalize like that. If you're not having any luck with your home brew, the way that you do it, then you need to move to something else. Why do people have to, in every single video, why do they have to mention it in every single video? Oh, you can't do this with this product. This product doesn't taste like that. You've said it. This is not a good way of making YouTube videos. You're not going to get good ratings and good results from that. Listen, we're all learning from each other. That's what it is. But you don't learn from somebody when they're being derogatory towards you. You immediately dismiss what they're saying when they're pissing you off. If you want to teach somebody something, be diplomatic. Take them under the arm and say, hey, look, I got some advice for you. I can show you a better way. When you start picking on people and making fun of them, that's not a way to teach somebody something. How many students are going to sit in a class and let a teacher pick on them? How many of those kids are going to learn anything? None. You know the way I do stuff. You know the way I am with my videos. I don't pick on people. I help. That's the way to do it. And that's the way I think it should be. Stop bitching about other people and products. It doesn't help anybody. Okay? Okay. I want you guys to keg. I am having a ball with this. Look. Okay? So there are lots of kegging videos on YouTube, and I've watched a lot of good ones too. We're going to do it. I'm going to take you through every single solitary little tiny eensy-weensy step of kegging. From taking the thing apart to putting it back together to sanitizing it, the different ways of carbonating your beer. I've been experimenting and I've got some things to say. Okay, so I want you to go out and look for a good deal on a keg. You need a keg, you need a CO2 tank, and you need a regulator. And I'll talk about those things in the video that I'm going to make shortly. And we'll just talk about kegging. That's going to be the video. But anyway, so we'll do that. Lots of stuff coming up. Okay? So keep watching. Thank you, all you guys. Thank you for your comments on the rant that I did a little while ago. I got great comments on that. I can't answer them all because, God, there was tons of them. Thank you very much. I really am having fun with this. And that's because of you. Take care, guys. See ya. Cheers.